What is it that made Superman so caring? Why was Superman so selfless and altruistic? That would be his super ego. That's a Freud joke. Not a Freud crowd, I see. Alright, well that's alright. You know, I really kind of pegged you guys as more of a Pavlov crowd when I came in here. So let's try this one. Knock knock. Who's there? Oh, well, so you are a Pavlov crowd. You know, because Pavlov trained the... I mean, who's there as a condition? Does anyone have a gun? Anyway, television has me a bit deflated these days. I feel like there's no creativity anymore. I mean, remember when at least the names of the shows had some wit in them? Family Matters. A show about matters pertaining to the family. But the double entendre is that family matters. It's important. You know? Step by step. It's a phrase we all know. It's a common colloquialism. But the show is about a step family, see? So it all comes together. When you turn on the TV today, what do you see? My name is Earl? According to Jim? The Biggest Loser? Well, you know, in fairness, actually, I guess The Biggest Loser makes a little bit of sense because it's a show about weight loss, and fat people are losers. Kidding, of course. Waistline challenged. But I'll tell you something that I find pretty galling, actually, is that people say obesity affects low-income families or people, whatever, because they can't afford to eat healthy. That's pretty false. I'll tell you how I know this. Because cigarette smoking is also most common amongst low-income Americans. And are you going to tell me it's because they can't afford to breathe oxygen? No. Cigarettes and crappy food is simply their escape. That's what gets them through the night, as Lennon would say. Just like, you know, cocaine is rich people's escape. It's got nothing to do with money, okay? If you can't afford 20-cent apples and free air, get a job! A lot of people out here in California love to rip on religion. Especially Christianity. But I don't like throwing dirt on my God-fearing brethren. And I never understand why anyone out here would. I'll tell you why. You see, the people out here in the Bible Belt are basically doing everything for nothing. They're your farmers, your loggers, your miners. They're breaking their backs to provide the bare necessities, and they barely get paid squat for it. Meanwhile, we're driving down the coast, listening to iPods, thinking up our next blog entry. Why you want to disturb that arrangement? Like, let me tell you something. Those people out there are not toiling away for the payoff here. They're doing it for the payoff up there. So you can try and rain on their parade now, but when they start asking questions, you'll change your tune. Hey, if you're telling me there's no heaven, then what am I doing all this work for? Living all modest like. Why don't you pick up a shovel? That's when you'll be saying, oh shit. You know what? I take it all back. Religion's great. Look, there's heaven, and there's a terrorist. Just go back to work, please. Like, I'm serious, you guys. If Arkansas and Nebraska and Kansas became welfare states like California and had the unemployment that we have, we'd all be screwed. I think it's time for a moratorium on the old picturing Jesus doing modern things jokes. I think way too many comedians are leaning on that one lately. Can you imagine Jesus, like, scuba diving? He'd be like, wow, this pressure's getting in my ears, I'm gonna go stand on the surface. Oh, picture like Jesus after a 3-day bender, man, in Vegas. Boy, rising from the dead was easier than rising from this hangover. Can you picture Jesus like in a prison shower gang rape? Like, oh. Sorry, I kind of got lost there for a second. The people I can't stand are these cheese balls that always talk about, I'm not religious, but I believe in karma. Neglecting to realize, apparently, that karma is derived specifically from the Hindu religion. Someone thought it up and wrote it down, just like the stuff in the Bible. I think what they mean to say is they're a run-of-the-mill hipster who thinks they're too smart and progressive for the establishment religion, but they'll pretend to believe some obscure South Asian religion if it makes them appear cultured. I mean, come on. I'm way too smart to believe in all that right-wing Christian establishment propaganda. I believe in Shiva, the god with 8 arms and an elephant head. It's ridiculous. Okay, buddy, why don't you go listen to some Radiohead and then meet your friends for lattes to talk about how Picasso's blue period profoundly affected your perspective on pathos. Faggot. I never went to college. Some of you may have picked up on. But screw it. I ain't no less not unsmart as none of the rest of y'all ain't. And the truth is, you don't need to go to college. Trust me on this. When you're out there in the real world and you go on that job interview and you're sitting across from that boss and you look him in the eye, it doesn't matter a lick whether or not you went to college. The only thing that matters is that you say you went to college. That's all you gotta do. Actually, I take that back. That's half of what you gotta do. And that's why a lot of people don't get the jobs they go and interview for. Because all they do is say they went to college. The key is you have to say you went to the boss's college. You know, because people have this really intense pride about their alma maters. Like scary, in-your-face pride. You know, if you want to work with a specific company, just find out where the guy in charge went to school and tell him you went there. I've done it myself. Numerous times. You know, you go into that interview, sit down, the guy looks at your resume. Son, I don't get the impression that you have any knowledge whatsoever in this field of business. What on earth makes you think I should possibly give you this job? Okay, yeah, put 200 on the pack. Hang on, I gotta go. Well, sir, there's one thing I learned in my days at Texas. It's that, wait a minute, you went to Texas? I went to Texas. Oh, what are the odds? Oh, wow, what are the odds? Longhorns, baby. Well, fellow UT man, huh? We can always use more orange and white around here, that's for sure. Yeah, that's definitely for sure. 30 minutes later, we're at some fancy restaurant negotiating salary over martinis. This fool's telling me all his boring stories about his glory days at UT. And as soon as we finished painting our chests, we realized it was a bye week. Oh, so that's why you're such a fat dickhead with bad breath. Excuse me? I went to Texas. Oh yeah, okay, more martinis over here. You know who I'm getting a little bit tired of? Is the little people. And I'm not talking about short persons. I'm talking about these people that actors and musicians are always giving credit to when they win an award, you know? I dedicate this to all the little people out there. I couldn't have done this without the little people. Like they're some sort of 12th man or something. You know, you hear this all the time. What did Joe Sixpack ever do for Tom Hanks? Because I'll tell you something, he's not doing much for me. I mean, seriously, the little people is like Ted, the local neighborhood mechanic. He smiled in your face and shook your hand as he ripped you off for a new transmission when all you needed was an oil change. The little people is young Timmy from down the street. Nice kid, right? He works at the burger joint. Last week he dropped your order on the floor, but he sent it out anyway because he's in a hurry to get to his lunch break. His lunch break. Yeah, the little people. Little people is Tina from the club. She swears up and down that she's on the pill just because she saw I had a Cartier watch on. I mean, I'm sure that's happened to some people. Seriously, George Clooney and Julia Roberts can have the little people. I'm gonna stay kissing up to the big cheeses and the head honchos. Thank you very much. But where do these little people come from anyway? Well, I'll tell you. You see, in 1883, a woman named Emma Lazarus wrote a poem called The New Colossus, and before long it was engraved on the Statue of Liberty, which had just been gifted to us from France. Well, the poem says this: "Give us your tired, your poor, your wretched masses, your huddled masses of wretched refuse." Seriously, it says this. "Give us your dirty, your smelly, your sick, your twisted. Give us your contagious, your chafing, your socially maladjusted." I mean, it's like a ad out of Auto Trader. "Have you got a lazy dirtball? Send him on down. Crazy, sleazy, slutty, we want them all. No English, no problem." So, of course, all these other countries see that and they're like, "Oh, what's that say?" Okay, here you go. And that's the story of how Italians came to America. Only kidding, of course. I picked something with it that I have in my own background just in order to keep it kosher. Which, incidentally, I also have in my background. But what's really ironical about these high and mighty celebrities is they always claim they support us little people, but their charitable giving records indicate otherwise. For example, let's look at our own city of Los Angeles. Much of it is inadequately prepared for a major earthquake. Public transportation is a joke. Everyone's stuck in gridlock. And when these issues come up, the politicians say, "Well, there's nothing we can do. There's no money in the budget." The budget's dry. There's no money in this city. Meanwhile, Natalie Portman and Alec Baldwin are donating money hand over fist to PETA. Seriously, millions of dollars going to PETA. Am I the only one that finds it insulting that we're getting a backseat to animals, to wild animals? Am I the only one that finds it a little bit insulting that we're getting a backseat to wild animals? We're up here packed like sardines on the freeway, choking on our own smog emissions. These rich and famous people are holding round tables on how to increase bamboo imports to pandas in Mongolia. Sorry guys, no expansion of the subway system this year. Instead, we hired Whole Foods to cater a giant picnic for all the animals in the Nile River Basin. Sorry, little people, no subway expansion for this year. Instead, we hired Whole Foods to cater a giant picnic for all the animals in the Nile River Basin. But I will dedicate my next award to you.